And here we are again, all being well. We hope technology is working. Greetings and welcome to another edition of this, the Coaching Hour podcast, although we should at some point probably change it to a vodcast with it now being video. It is your favorite Coaching Hour team in partnership with Coaches Network South Africa. And we are all at our respective homes once again today for another edition of what I hope is going to be an enjoyable journey for you. We have a wonderful guest who I'll be introducing you to shortly. Unfortunately, with these things, there can be a technical glitch. And so, although I'm hopefully loud and clear, Mary is loud and clear. Hello, Mary.
Hello.
Good morning. Nice to have you sitting in your garden today, I see.
Yes, fresh air.
Lovely. At least we don't have air shedding at the moment. We might have water and load shedding, but at least the air is still there. Mareka, you can see, but Mareka's probably not going to be saying too much today because we found that her audio feed is a little bit stuttery. Let's just see, maybe miraculously it's got better. At least say hello, Mareka. How's it going today?
Hi, Paul. How's things?
You actually sound clear now. How about that for
Yes.
timing?
How awesome.
Yeah, you're sounding great. So we were thinking of not having you say too much in this session, but hopefully that will now change. I'll still do the introduction just in case, because you can see sitting in the bottom right corner of your screen at the moment, if you are watching this, is Bennie Keen. Bennie is an ambassador of transformation and also an experienced game of life strategist. Whoa, sounds quite fancy. He assists in human behavior modification and how to live your life in a way where you have no stress, more money, and the time to experience the joys of life. Bennie, I'm already looking forward to hearing what you have to say, because I can tell you now, I seem to run out of time all the time. Bennie is an entrepreneur and a founder of Create Your Tomorrow Today, which sounds like a lovely initiative. He's also a philanthropist and a founding member of the Anonymous Angels charity group. Bennie, thanks so much for you giving up your time to join us for the Coaching Hour. Nice to have you with us as our weekly guest. Hello.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks.
And where are you today? At home as well, I hope.
Yes, home office. I've been working for the last 10 years from home, so the home office is up and running.
Okay. That's interesting. 10 years, that's a lot longer than many people, I think, started their work from home during COVID, which is when many of us realized, hey, hang on a minute, I can actually do this from home. I don't need to go to the office. But you've been doing it far longer than that, eh?
Yeah, from 2013. So I'm actually a civil engineer, so I've quit the engineering to do full-time coaching and change people's lives.
Wow. That is quite a transformation in itself. I mentioned in your introduction that you assist in human behavior modification. I don't think, Mareka, I stand to be corrected, I don't think we've ever had an engineer turned coach on this show. I think that's a first.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a life engineer.
A life engineer. Okay, awesome. So Mareka, it seems you do have a voice after all. So I'm going to let you jump in here.
All right, good. So thank you so much. We are going to talk to Bennie today about the ease of disease, which is one of my passions. And, you know, we've had a few health coaches previously, holistic coaches, but I'm very keen to hear what you have to say in terms of the ease of disease. Can you tell us a bit more about this topic, what it's about, and why this interests you?
Yeah, in my life, I've had a quite hiccup journey. So I started asking questions, why me again? Why is it happening? And the basics of life, I seem to get that we are existing at a body and a soul. So, but we aren't, nobody has a soul. The body is an empty vessel, but we are the soul in the body. So it's like a game. There's a purpose. There's players, a playing field, and then you've got your play suit that your vessel is. So your soul is in the body, but now the body is an empty vessel, and you just have your senses to communicate with the outside world. So the soul is actually, if there's no senses, if you don't have eyes, it's in a locked closed room. So then how did the soul and the body connect with each other? So that's why the soul is a super consciousness created by God, the image of God, and the body is then the earthly vessel that is no consciousness, the super consciousness and no consciousness. And then you've got the heart, that we all have our heart and emotions. That's just more the subconscious mind. And then the body talks to the heart with the emotions, and then translate it to the mind. That's your consciousness, because you need to be conscious in the world to make decisions. And the mind related to the soul, so you can experience the life on earth, how the purpose of the game is. So the game of life is to have the most experience, become the best you can be. But most people live life by emotions and emotional trauma that was collected over years, and we are falsely programmed by, so most people are actually not consciously, they are in a false state of hypnosis. They think they're conscious, but they don't know what they can actually accomplish in the world, in life.
That's
Sure,
very
Bennie.
philosophical from an engineer.
That went very deep, very fast. I don't know even where to start, but I'm interested what you mentioned, that most people are unconscious. What do you mean by that?
Because most people react to life, because you need to act to life, because if you don't know what you want, you don't know where you're going, and you don't know when you have it. So most people react to life, not acting. So if you're reacting, you are in your circumstances, and you today this happened, and then I changed this to accommodate the circumstances, instead of taking action into your hands. But most people change their goals instead of changing the reaction. The circumstances guide them in life, not their goal. Because if you take your hand like this and you focus on your hand, your circumstances is controlling your hand of your life. But if you have a goal and you focus what you want, then your circumstances is just a reaction to the thing that you've done, and you change your actions to get a better reaction, and you act the whole time because you focus on a goal. You know what you want, and start acting. So your conscious people are people that consciously in the moment and see what is happening. And everybody has issues, and everybody has something happening. Had a bad morning, has a driven a cat, or whatever happens. So everybody is emotional. But if you are just in a semi-trance, you react to the road rage or whatever. But if you're focused, you know what you want, you're in there in the moment, then you can say, oh, forgive him, he don't know what he's doing because he maybe has a bad day, or he lost his wife or kids or whatever. Everybody has an issue in life. So you must be consciously active, be in the moment. No, nobody can be there 24 hours because somehow we all are just reacting. But try and be focused to be more active in acting instead of reacting to your circumstances. So that's why I would say most people are in a state of semi-hypnosis from born, because your people, the home living environment, your work, everybody tell you what to do, and you act according to that, not to what you want.
And I see you spell disease, dis-ease.
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 Yeah, dis-ease. Because finish, please.
No, I'm interested in why you spell it separate.
Yeah, so ease, the 4 body parts that I explained to your soul, is your ego. There's also always a war between purpose and ego. And ego is like our soul. You can't go without your ego, because you need some sort of persona to each part of your life is a different dress rehearsal. So today you have this persona, and at home you have another persona. So the ego is necessary to live life, because you need a persona, but that's not you. And most people become their persona and say that is who they are, but that's not who they are. The soul has a purpose for enjoyment and have life. So that's the E, the ego. Then the A is for attitude, it's your mind. So your attitude is the way how you live life, the philosophy, how you see life, your values that create your decisions. Then the E is for sympathy, that is your heart, because your emotional control, we always need some emotions to manifestate and everything. We are emotional beings, you can't go without it, but you need to have emotional control. And then E is the energy, that's your body, the fourth part, and that must always be in balance, because a chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So if you develop your body and you're a super bodybuilder, but you have didn't develop your mind, there's a link, and then there's some sort of mental disease or some sort of imbalance. So that this is then and if you have some emotional blockages, then that emotional blockages is in the body, so the energy blocks, and you need to that ease is no more there. So you get a warning sign from the dis-ease. So if you don't react on that dis-ease, that dis-ease has 5 stages of disease we have. So, and if you don't look after it, then your vessel is dysfunctioning, and eventually the vessel, play suit for this game, is dying. So it's a time limit. So with the mind, we have a choice, free will. Most people's, because they're only reacting, they really don't have free will. They say they have free will, but when you react, it's not, so your willpower is the art of being. You need to conquer free will. Then emotional control, if you lash out at somebody in a road, you need to have emotional control, because there's all these players and everybody playing to win, but there's no winning in life. It's actually experience. You're competing with yourself. And when all these parts, 4 parts of your life is in dis-ease, you can't function properly, or you can't get what you want. So the ease is the 4 parts of life, and the dis-ease is when your body is telling that there's something wrong and you need to change or edit, so you can have a better and a longer life. So time management is very important.
Now, you keep mentioning the game of life. I actually recently read the book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. I don't know if you've read that book. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I've actually read it after I compiled my coaching module from Easter. So I didn't know there existed a book like that, and so I read it afterwards. Yeah. So my part, how I do this is the ego is the soul, the purpose. Then the mind is your playground, because we are playing a mind game, so the playground. And then players, there's different unseen and seen players, and then there's your play suit, that's your body. There's the 4 pillars of existence.
Interesting.
Can I just mention that we do have another special guest on today's podcast, because clearly Wednesday is gardening day at Mary's house. We keep seeing the gentleman moving behind you. We would like to at least know his name, please, Mary.
It's
We don't mind. Sorry?
Matthew.
Matthew. Hello, Matthew. Good morning, Matthew. I just thought I'd say hello to Matthew, because I keep seeing him moving in the background.
There he is.
There he is. Hello, Matthew. We're very well. Thank you. Thank you. I hope there's no dis-ease in the garden. It's always amusing on these Zoom sessions, because people come in and out of frame in people's lives, and I'm not for a second saying that you need to move him out of the shot, Mary. I think it's quite nice when we actually know who these people are. So now we know Matthew the gardener is at Mary's house on a Wednesday. Right. Thank you. I wanted to jump in here, Bennie, and just say that all of this sounds wonderfully philosophical and almost textbook-like in a sense. But how do you move from actually getting to the place that you've just described, becoming this person who is no longer being controlled by the world, but rather the other way around, where you at least feel like you have some sort of control. How do we get there?
Well, you must decide that the first, I say, is I live. So you have an itch and you have a desire that you are not happy with what you want. And then you need to set goals. So we have created the dreams goal setting process where you decide where you want, then you reprogram the subconscious mind, because that's where your troubles lay, your autopilot, get an hypnosis and a transformational recording that you use, and then you set an action steps, and then you monitor your actions. And if you don't get what you want, you edit and revisit the challenge until you get what you want. So it's about a 90-day process if you follow the process for each challenge. But then we have a bigger picture. So currently, with the goal setting, you can target each problem you've got. But the whole thing is that you need to focus on reprogramming your mind with the limiting beliefs that that you have, and that everything is possible with the I am, that God and you are closer. The ideal is the closer you get to God consciousness and develop the habit of meditating, because there's two types of meditating. The one is to be still and connect with God, and the other one is to meditate for your goals, where you do visualization and get an emotional connection with your goal to get what you want. So, and to perfect that, you need to practice it constantly, and it's a daily habit. Because people say you have 7 days, 24 hours a day, but how much time do you take in a day to sit still and think who you are, connect with your higher self, your inner self? So in the morning, I sit 10 minutes, and then in the evening, 20 minutes, and then goal setting whenever I get time for the goal setting. But to connect with yourself and realize who you are, is you need to set time aside for yourself. And that's the first point to start. That listen, you pray, but how does God talk to you? Is that voice inside of you is how God responds to you. But how many of us just ignore that voice and say, I'll listen later, or I don't do that? So you need to start connecting yourself and trusting that voice, or that inner voice that's leading you towards a better you. So the starting point is definitely to start meditating in stillness, to get the connection with yourself, to see what you want and what you want to experience, and then start a goal setting process to reprogram your mind to get rid of the most and limiting beliefs you have that was programmed over the years.
So,
Okay.
Bennie, I'm pleased to meet you, Bennie. I'm Mary. So all the things that you're saying is, you know, I can relate to, because I'm a coach, and I'm sure all the, you know, Marika and Paul. But for the person that's listening or watching, how will they know that they need help when they're unconscious?
Well, some people are happy where they are. If you're not happy where you are, that's the first warning sign. Because if you are dis-ease, means you are not happy with the current situation. So if you're not happy with the situation that you are, the boss is blaming me for everything. What's the common denominator between every situation is you. So life is very personal. They say life is not personal, but actually life is very personal. And it's you that must change, not the world. So we don't change people, we just change the way people look at the world, and they need to change themselves.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, even before the meditation step, it's awareness. Like you mentioned, to be aware.
Be aware. If you're not happy, then there must be a reason why you're not happy, and start asking the questions, or ask somebody that can help you ask questions. Because if you ask the same question, you're going to get the same answer.
Yes. And don't accept, the situation necessarily. If you're unhappy, that's almost like a wake-up call. Don't accept the situation and buy into that, maybe that victim mindset, because that can happen easily.
Yes, there's 4 types of players in the game. It's harsh because I've been in some situations in my life, so I know it sounds sometimes harsh, but it's the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes. So there's the victims, then there's the victors, and then there's just the people that's on the sideline. And then there's the quitters, the people that say it's enough and they take their own lives, and they are the quitters. And actually, then there's the fifth part, is the unseen, the people that, but that's a different topic on its own. But so it's the victors, the victims, the guys that's just on the sideline watching. That's the unconscious people. They just go by day to day and do what my mother said, or what I'm becoming an engineer because my father wanted me to be an engineer. And then there's the quitters. So most people are unfortunately in the victims and just the sideline guys that's standing and watching.
Interesting. So it starts with awareness, and then you mentioned also choice. Then you have to choose, who do I want to be, or on what side I want to become.
Yeah, life is all about choices. You always have 2 choices. Not making a choice is also a choice. And so the life we are this morning was a series of billions of choices over a lifetime that brought us here. You make a couple of 100 choices a day, you don't realize it, but if you sit still and you go through the day, am I going left or right? Am I going to the toilet now? Can I drink water, coffee? It's always a choice. And if you are happy with the circumstances, it's a choice. Nobody told you, nobody's handing a gun to you and saying, now you must stay in this job, you must stay with this guy, or you must, there's always a choice. And people seem to forget that.
Yes. So if I can just quickly go back to those 4 pillars that you've mentioned, it's now the ease part of dis-ease. E, you said, is ego, A for attitude, S, sympathy, or the heart, E for energy. So when those 4 if they're not in alignment, is that then when you say disease?
Yes, because most, they say there's genetical diseases that are transformed from birth, and that's I'm not a preacher, but the Bible says about generational curses. So that is the generational curses. It's like the gene pool that was get corrupted, and about 90% of all the other sickness is emotionally created. So if you can have emotional balance and emotional control and love yourself, then that is where the dis-ease stops. Because most people don't love themselves. Even the question in the most cases, they say, who do you love more, God, yourself, or your neighbor? But we actually must love everybody the same. But most people don't love themselves. So awareness is one thing, but start loving yourself. And if you're not happy with it, change it. Because you need to love yourself. Yeah.
So how do you love yourself? What do you have to do to know that you are loving yourself?
Well, there's a ritual that you need to do like every day. The first thing you need to say, I love you. I'm sorry for whatever I choose and I did, or everybody I let other people do to me, then please forgive me. Then you forgive yourself, I release you and I let it go. And I say, thank you. And this you must do daily until you start believing it. Because the challenge is, with all the negative programming over the years, we don't trust ourselves, we don't believe what we say, and you need to trust yourself again. Because if you don't trust you, how do you believe that other people will trust you? That it all starts with inner love. And because what does unconditional love means? It means I love myself with all my flaws, with all, I don't have a six-pack anymore, but it's okay. So you need to accept yourself, and when you can accept yourself, you see other people as flaws as well. You accept them with their flaws, and you see sometimes it's not personal when a guy yells at you. It's maybe just he doesn't the bank phone him that wasn't going to take his car or whatever, and he's just on a bad spot. It's not personal. It's just circumstances, but he lashes out on you. So forgive him. He has a bad day. But we always take it personally, because they say sticks and stones can break my bones, but words don't. God. But actually, that's not true. People are more hurt by words than sticks and bones, stones, because you can heal, the body heal, but the heart keep grudges. And if you don't forget, forgive, you don't forget. Nobody said you must forget about the hurt. You must just forgive it and don't go there again.
And that's very powerful what you've mentioned, Bennie, self-acceptance. I've seen with my own clients, the moment that self-acceptance truly sets in, confidence flows from there, happiness, contentment, inner peace. So many, benefits from that, just by accepting themselves.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying with you. You say accepting your the energy is starting to flow constantly. That's why I'm saying, why settle for less stress if you can have no stress? Because you make the limit what you have. If you are happy, why will I stress? So why will I have 25% stress less if I can have no stress?
Exactly.
So what
I don't think I
I'm
know.
happy.
I don't think I know of anyone, though, in reality, Bennie. I don't think I know of anyone, even the happiest of people who I know in life, who don't have some stress. So surely a degree of stress is actually a good thing, because it's what keeps us going and makes us move and gets us out of bed in the morning. We need stress, I would say, surely.
No. There's a stress that you can't get rid of, because that's the functioning stress. But what I'm telling us is unnecessary stress. Because you will have stress, because that makes us human. And you will get angry and you will have stress, but don't carry unnecessary stress around you. So if you baggage, leave it. You don't need it.
You mentioned, or at least we mentioned, sorry, in the introduction, that you are somebody who works in human behavior modification. Have you experienced that yourself, Bennie, where if you look at who you are now, are you a different person to who you used to be? Bennie Keen, the old, and Bennie Keen, the new?
Yeah, definitely. If you've seen me 10 years back, it's a totally different person. I was an introvert. I didn't want to speak to people, and now I'm a public speaker, motivational, so I talk a lot. I'm confident. So everything changed. I'm a new person.
And what was the catalyst for that?
Well, there's a personal development in my life. I had a lot of trauma, and there was a psychologist couldn't help me with the family trouble I had at that stage. And the only way at that specific moment that I had a problem in-house, the company that I worked at that stage retrenched people, and 2 people commit suicide because they've worked at the company for 35 years and then the company closed the doors. So they called in a life coach, and after the talk, what he gave, I talked to the life coach, and he explained a few stuff to me, and I said, can I make an appointment with him, because the psychologist can't help me. And that was the turning point in my life, and said that's an eye-opener for me. So nothing wrong with those people that have a place in that industry, but for me at that stage, and I said, if it makes a difference to me, I want to make a difference to other people's. And that's where I became a junior coach, then a coach and a master coach, and specializes in other stuff, human behavior.
Interesting.
Mary, you had a question also.
It slipped my mind now. But what I can ask is, so you said that it is something that people have to be aware of first. So I suppose it's a life shock or some trauma that wakes you up to ask what is going on, or who am I, or where to from here? I'm stuck. What can I do? Type of experience before the breakthrough happens. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but if you don't ask the question, you're still in hypnosis, because then you won't get awakened. Because the moment that you start asking the questions, then you start opening your eyes and realize that there must be something better. And that's the starting point. And that's actually a realization that I've been doing something wrong, or something is wrong. There must be a better. Now you must just start asking the right questions. Or get help, that somebody will help you ask the right questions.
Sure. Bennie, there's so much, that you've mentioned that we can actually have a conversation on its own. But to our listeners and viewers, can you leave them with, a few practical tips maybe to help them to get these elements in alignment?
Well, there's the challenge with where to start. I think we touch on the meditation, because get still and start connecting with yourself. I think that's the first thing. Choose a time in the morning, like 20 past 5 is our meditation time. So 20 minutes past 5, then I get still. Unless there's a crisis in my day and I can't focus and I need some answers, then I go into meditation as well to get clarity for a decision. But start with meditation, or start walking. If you're not walking, exercising, get that energy flowing. Because if you sit the whole day, there's some, I'm not a specialist on all this vitamins and stuff, but walking is a big stress releaser. And if you can't do any other exercises, at least try to get yourself walking. Because if the blood flows, your mind works better. Drink a lot of water. A lot of water, because the brain goes in a shutdown if it's dehydrated. And the brain is the most important thing in your life. If your brain don't function, the rest of the body suffers. So water, meditation, and ask the question, what do you want to experience in life? Because that will start you on some sort of goal setting process that you, because if you're not happy where you are, you need a person in your life to love or be loved, or a new work or a work. Then when you ask, that's the experience. But most people say, I lived 50 years, but I count the experiences as each year I lived, not the years, because you need to experience life. That's why we are here. It's not just to go to work every day, earn a living. So now I've already given you a couple of, so the water, the meditation, walk, and ask yourself what you want to experience. And that question on its own will let you think.
Thank you so much, Bennie. This was quite insightful. I got a lot from it. Any final words from Paul or Mary?
Yeah, look, it is a challenge. I'm thinking on behalf of people that are listening, that's never heard this before, and are on the sort of boundary of where to from here. So I would imagine the best thing to do is to find a coach, to help them and guide them to the water and drink.
Yeah, the challenge with the people is if you can take anybody to the water, but you can't force them to drink water. And that's where the choice comes in. If you start and make an appointment, it's a good thing. I always say to a wife or a husband, don't worry, just if he or she comes to the office on their own free will, then let me do the rest. But you can't force them to come and visit me for an appointment, because if that choice is not made by that person, you can't force them to drink water or change, because they need to want to change. And you mentioned that for the truth sometimes hurt. Some people, I've got a client that says she wants to talk to me because I skud haar hok altyd. Because she gets mad and she's furious when she walked away, but 2 days later she phoned me and said thank you. Because the truth is not always nice, because we are lied to by most of the world, and unfortunately it's a monopoly to manipulate and control people. The more people you can control, keep them dumb and don't let them think for themselves, then you control them. The moment you start thinking for yourself, you are actually starting to live.
Thank you so much, Bennie. Paul?
Yeah, I think for me, the takeaway from this sort of conversation is always what is highlighted is often that we don't give ourselves enough time. Yeah, we've interviewed dozens and dozens of coaches over the years, and if you really drill down into the essence of what most coaching is, it's merely a process of allowing you to discover who you are in the best way possible. And I think a starting point for that journey is to at least be mindful of the fact that you probably don't know who you are. And just the simple, we hear it time and time again, the simple process of meditating or taking 5 or 10 minutes to just sit and be still. Where and when, unless it's this conscious meditation session every morning, like what Bennie was saying, where and when do most people have that opportunity? I think in the modern world, they don't. We're literally going from chasing one task to another. We have very little time for ourselves. And when I say that, I'm not talking about, okay, so today I'm going to gym and I'm doing this and I'm not talking about that sort of time for yourself, but time where you can literally just sit, whether it's with a cup of tea or coffee first thing in the morning, watching the sunrise over your garden or in your apartment, wherever you live, just making time for yourself. Because it's only when you spend time with yourself and proper quality time without interruption and interference and your cell phone and technology, it's only, I think, during those times that you really start discovering who you are. And I think the planet needs more of that. I don't think we do that enough. And it's sad because I give myself as an example. I'm not a coach, but I am someone who understands the concept of being more mindful of who I am and why I'm here. And even though I'm mindful of it and conscious of it, I don't do it because there's always something else to be done. I'm going for a run, and yes, that's spending time with myself, but it's not spending time with myself in the way that Bennie's been describing. And yeah, I think that the challenge with the world is most people aren't present in their own lives. They're literally going from task to task, not really thinking about anything that is going to be of real value to them. We're just constantly ticking off boxes on our to-do lists. That's how most people live. That's how I live.
Just to add on to that, what's the purpose of a diary? What is your purpose of your to-do list that you put in your appointments? What is the purpose of a diary? To get all your things and appointments done. So why don't you put in first your life and then the rest of the world's appointments after that?
Yeah.
So that's the challenge that was my biggest eye-opener for myself. There's no time for myself. My goals in my diary is always somebody else's that they diarize my diary first before I get the chance. And now I've turned that around and first put in my time, my family's time, And if there's time left, I know I must work harder to get some things done, but I don't waste time. The first thing I do in the morning is definitely not watching at my cell phone. Or the last thing I go into the evening before I go to bed, it's definitely not my cell phone. I listen to my meditation when I go to sleep, but I don't watch messages on my phone, because that's the thing I've de-learned to do, because it's a time killer on its own. So just first put yourself in your diary. So I've always tell people, take 24 hours, 7 days, 28 days, because there's usually a cycle of 28 days in each moon cycle. So 28 days, 24 hours, what do you do with your life? And if you go and see what you do, then you see how much time you waste.
Yep.
Very true.
Couldn't
I made
agree
a note
more.
of that. Good. Thank you, Bennie. It was very insightful. Where can people get hold of you if they would like to get in touch?
065 025 4. No, I don't find myself. 065 025 4575. That's
do you have a
WhatsApp.
website?
Sorry?
Do you have a website that they can visit?
Website is currently under construction, but currently they'll just, if they WhatsApp me there, they'll see all the information on the WhatsApp, the prices, that's products, that's a business WhatsApp. So there's some details there and a link to the website as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Bennie. Thank you for making time for us. And obviously, more importantly, for those who are watching and listening to this, we really appreciate you being part of this edition of the Coaching Hour podcast. Thank you, Bennie.
It was a pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes this edition, brought to you in partnership, of course, with Coaches Network South Africa. Mary and Matthew in the background, although I see he's disappeared now. Thank you very much, Mary.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And Mareka, Bairanki, thank you as always. And
Awesome.
you are going to be sharing this across our normal platforms. You might have seen it now on Facebook, and that is on the Coaches Network South Africa page. Am I right?
Correct. And we are also on YouTube and Spotify.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And if you are on Facebook, you can write your comments in the comments section below. That's always helpful. And if you have any tips, advice, or perhaps even suggestions for who we could chat with on this show, please do let us know. We love hearing from you. From me, Paul Rotherham, thanks for joining us. Cheers for now.